I'd sort of given up at 35 that I was those rock and roll dreams. I was like, well, I'm getting married and I'm settling down and I'm going to have babies. And so I thought, well, I'm never going to get a chance to be a rock star anymore. And then out of the blue, I got offered to go and do a tour in Australia. So I'm in Ireland at this stage with my wife. And I go down under for the very first time, and I do gigs in Perth and Melbourne and Sydney. And after a period of touring in Australia, at a party one night, just being in the right place at the right time in Sydney, I met the keyboard player from INXS, Andrew Farris. And after about 3 nights of socializing with Andrew Farris, of loads of rock and roll stories and alcohol and smoking stuff we shouldn't have been smoking, it was a lot of fun. The acoustic guitar came out around a table about 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was about a dozen people sitting at this table, and we'd been partying all night. And Andrew said to me, why don't you play a song? And for 3 days, I'd been telling Andrew how great a fan I was of INXS. And he said, well, why don't you do a song from INXS? So he picked up the guitar and he started playing this. Now, I always loved this INXS song. All veils are misty, streets are blue. How many looks that should have had, and all that exists, ooh, but none has your beauty. I see your face, and I will survive. You mystify me. You mystify me. That's a little bit of Mystify. And I have a very distinct memory of as a young musician sitting in my mum's living room watching INXS live at Wembley Stadium in London. And here I am sitting at 35 years of age, 20 years later, with the guy that wrote these songs, Never Tear Us Apart and Mystify. And I'm telling him for 3 days how great he is. And I sang this song with him at 3 in the morning. And he looked, after I finished singing the song, he looked at me and he goes, I think you're going to play a role in the future of INXS. And I thought to myself, this guy's drunk. I'll never hear from this dude ever again. So off I went back to Ireland again, and I just got married, and we were expecting our first kid. My wife was 8 months pregnant at the time. And I thought, I'll never hear from this guy again. But out of the blue, the phone rang, and a month before my wife was due to give birth, Andrew Farris from INXS calls me up and goes, look, we've just got rid of our singer. I think I'd love you to come down to Australia, write some songs with me, and maybe try out an audition for INXS. And I said, mate, perfect, I'd love to, but my wife's just about to give birth to our first child. So she said, you just gotta go, you gotta take these opportunities. So I jumped on a plane to Australia, 36 hours journey from Ireland to Sydney, from door to door it takes. And I went down to Australia for 4 days. On the first day I wrote a song with them, the second day I wrote another one, the third day I met INXS over a barbecue, and on the fourth day before I went to the airport to fly out that night, I stood in the room with INXS for the first time, and I did an audition for the band. And after singing 2 or 3 songs with the band, tiny little room in a rehearsal space, they all sort of looked at each other and goes, the gig's yours if you want it. So back to Ireland I went after 4 days, said to my wife, after this baby is born, we're moving to Australia. So we did. The baby was born, and 2 months after James was born, our first kid, we jumped on a plane. And 3 months later, I was standing on stage. We'd moved to Australia with our family, and 3 months later, I was standing in front of 30,000 people in Buenos Aires. And I am if anyone says that dreams come true if you stay at them long enough, well, I am that story. I never gave up on the dream, and I'm now currently living in Australia 10 years and had a wonderful life, and got to stand on stage and watch 10,000 people jump up and down when you do that. It's an experience to behold. It's better than...